angle. Why would you do that? It's just too...
No, it's a good angle. Yeah, it's good.
Really? Yeah. At this.
It's wicked. Okay, we can do a regular angle.
I can do a fun. Hi friends! So today we're going to be doing a bookshelf reorganization video. Really exciting because I have not reorganized my books since I moved in here, like more than 2 years ago. The books are everywhere. I have my comics in the bedroom, which I'm kind of going to leave a little bit for now. And then obviously all of these bookshelves. I've already made B-roll, but I have my assistant and cleaner on the camera, so. And then I have like my unread books here, queer books. And I don't know how I'm going to reorganize it, but I'm so excited to do it. And Hadith is so excited to clean everything, which is why we're doing this together. Yay. So this is what it looks like right now. All the books that I don't really care about, I place behind the chairs because you can't really see them, but there's still books that I like to keep. So we start with like clearing out all the chairs and everything so we have a nice working space, and vacuuming the floor before I put all the books on there. In hindsight, I probably should have thought more about how I was planning to do this whole process. And I'm gonna tackle the fantasy shelf first and how this is taking out all the little gadgets and decorations and stuff. So yeah, literally the speed throughs in this are so quick, and most of it is honestly just like me cleaning the books. And oh my god, look at how dirty it is behind the shelf. It is because there's books and a bunch of hay and bedding and stuff from the bunnies that just collect. That's why it gets dirty so quickly. Yeah, so the majority of like this video is literally just me cleaning all the books, to be honest. Imagine I read all of these. Isn't it kind of weird when you see it like this?
Yeah. You could just be saying that you read them.
This is what one shelf of book looks like. What? One shelf of books looks like. All of this. Wow, look how dirty that is. Cleaning crew, L1. So when cleaning all the books, I first went over them with like a dust cloth, and then I went over them with a slightly wet cloth just to make sure they were like really clean. I've never cleaned my books, and some of them were dirty, and it honestly surprised me like how yellow the pages had gotten on some of them. And as I'm going through them, I'm also deciding which ones to keep and which ones to give away, but I'm cleaning all of them. And as I was doing this, I was mixing up all the books, all the genres, and I really should have kept them kind of together, because when I later started putting them like back into the shelf, it was just all mixed up, everything. It was so messy. And yeah, I really wish I would have kept like better organization while I was doing this. So we kind of went shelf by shelf. Hadis did the cleaning. I did the cleaning of the books, and we helped each other like take the books out and stuff. Yeah. And look at this copy of Genuine Fraud. It's just eaten up by the bunnies. Like, I knew this whole process would take a long time because I was planning on cleaning every single book, but I still feel like I didn't put enough time off for it. But honestly, like, the air in the whole apartment feels a lot better. Like, it's totally worth it. I'm so glad that it's done. And here is like just books everywhere. It's like once you start, you also can't stop because now you can't use the space for anything anymore. Lunch break. And then had to start helping me cleaning the books as well. And yeah, poor them, because they had to listen to me chat about pretty much every single book I picked up. And I mean, they were being nice about it, like asking questions about the books and stuff, which I will gladly answer. Yeah, it's fun just like holding your books and interacting with them instead of just like having them be on the shelves. Like, it was kind of a fun process to pick up every book and remember the times that I read it, the place I read it, where I was in my life, and the thoughts that I had on each book. Like, I mean, I feel like we can all relate to the process of just enjoying being surrounded by books and being in the space of books. Like, I enjoyed that a lot and appreciate everything that I have and all the books I've read in a different way. So now we've almost finished cleaning all of these books. This is what's left. All of these books are books that I'm keeping, and then all the books that are on the shelf here are stuff that I'm going to give away. So this is all that we had time for today. Whoa, still haven't done anything on this shelf. Still have to do that, and then all the other shelves, obviously. But so now I'm just going to put in these books randomly in the shelf. All the genres are mixed up. It's all chaos. So fun fact, I just wanted to put the books on the shelves again so they wouldn't clear up any space on the floor so we could use the floor and walk, but Herdis took it upon themselves to nicely organize the books, which is, kind. But what they also did for funsies is separate all the series, separate the books that would usually go together, just to make it a lot more exciting for me tomorrow when I have to actually organize the books. So yeah, all the series were split up. Thank you, Herdis. And so that was quite the process. But yeah, now we're just putting everything back again. I don't remember if I was thinking something. No, I wasn't thinking anything about where I was putting them in. I was just going for it. But I already messed up like the genres and everything when I put them on the floor, which was super inconvenient because, I messed everything up. Mixed all the genres together and everything. But I feel like we made good progress, although when I put it all back in again, it doesn't quite look that way.
Jätteskäll. I think we just keep it this way.
No.
Why not? It's amazing.
Status on day one. My God, it looks horrible.
So I read The Shining by Stephen King. It's a new book it's a debut novel by this King author, this King guy. It's okay. It has some weird stuff in it, but like all in all, not very exciting. Pretty dull actually. But I don't know. The main character is very likable though, which I think, gives extra point to the story. Real nice guy. So that's my review of it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It's okay. Here you go. I didn't read those.
So today we're tackling the rest of the shelf, Billy 40 centimeter, and cleaning all the books again. Surprise, surprise. These are my climate fiction books, which are some of my favorites. It's fun to think about all the books you read. It's actually crazy to think that I read all these books. I know I said it earlier, but it's still a little wild when you look at it like this. So here's an overview of all the books that I'm getting rid of. I'm getting rid of double this amount almost from my TBR, but these are the red books that I'm getting rid of.
Goodbye, Rowan and Rising. Goodbye, Beyonders. Goodbye, Beyonders. Goodbye, Prince of Thorns. Goodbye, Ship of Magic. Goodbye, A Court of Thorns and Roses. Goodbye, A Court of Mist and Fury. Goodbye, A Court of Wings and Ruin. Goodbye, Finding Audrey.
And I'm finally starting to actually organize the shelf how I want it. I first tried to put them kind of in the same category, the genres together, and then organize them, but it's a little bit difficult because all the shelf sizes are different. It turned into a real fun scavenging hunt because of Herdis' beautiful organizing work yesterday. I started with putting in the Wheel of Time books and some of the fantasy series together that I know that I wanted together, and then just seeing kind of where it fits. But yeah, I put my young adult fantasy and my young adult contemporary behind where the chairs are going to be because they're books that I'm less interested in seeing every day. So yeah, I'm just making space wherever there is. Okay, so here's what I've done. This is weird adult fiction. Then all of this is just contemporary and literary adult fiction that has no like magic or speculative element. And then we have sci-fi here. Let me see. Let us get closer. Here's like sci-fi and then a little bit of fantasy, where there's just my Neil Gaiman books. And then here is sci-fi, fantasy, sci-fi, and then I have all of the Wheel of Time here. I decided to put them all together, even though I haven't finished them all, just because the shelf is really small and there's not a lot of like books that fit on there. And then we have fantasy and what's that? It's like young adult fantasy, and then all the way at the bottom here is young adult contemporary. And then oh god, here's some Brandon Sanderson fantasy. These are my classics. What is this? These are books that I don't know where to put. And then we have, I want to start a poetry shelf, even though I don't have that many. And then this is short story collections. This is just for now, Haruki Murakami. And then my horror are these two down there. I also want to create a complete horror shelf. And then we have some different books on the ground. Just, what are these? So after organizing the books after genre, I tried to like put them in where I want them to be. And by now I've done the fantasy, sci-fi, and starting the literary fiction section. And then after that, I realized that I wanted my queer nonfiction that's on top of my TBR shelf to also be in this shelf, so that I have all my read books in the same place. But that also meant that then I had to clean those books, yay, before I can put them into this current shelf, which I think is nice. I think it's going to be more harmonious for me to have all my read books together. So it's getting a little late, and that's why the lighting is changing. But I emptied all my nonfiction, also from my previously queer shelf, where I had all my queer nonfiction. And now I'm going to organize them instead after like memoir together, coffee table books together, and then all my like essays and other nonfiction together, and my climate nonfiction together. And that's what's going to be on these two empty shelves here, kind of like in the middle. I'll explain like everything and how I organized it after I'm sort of done. I haven't gone in and like organized them in a good order, because like previously I organized my books after genre and then alphabetical as much as possible within that genre. Now I've decided to organize it by genre, and I've also split up authors if they have books from different genres, which I don't know if I'm going to regret. I might. I possibly might. But that's how I've done it now. I've also, for example, kept Murakami together, but I have also put like his short story collections with the short stories here. And I do have ambitions of like making this a poetry shelf, and above it, you can't really see, is my translated East Asian fiction, which is very small right now because these books all make sense together, but I also have translated East Asian fiction, for example, in like fantasy, sci-fi, and climate fiction and stuff as well. So it doesn't quite make sense, but I've kind of tried to put the books together that I think make sense, and also like mix it up a little to make it a little more fun, because I can do that now that I've gotten rid of so many fucking books. But yeah, let's put these books in, and then we'll see where we're at. So I started putting these books in the order that I just mentioned, like with the coffee table books together, the essay collections together, the memoirs together, but because of the spacing on the shelf, it didn't work out like that. But I think it's just really fun to be like holding books and handling books, and I do not mind having to move books around on my bookshelves. Like, it's such a joy. But yeah, I was standing there contemplating, oh my god, what is the right choice? What happens if I make the wrong choice? So I ended up moving my horror shelf above my nonfiction shelf, and then having my nonfiction right above my Wheel of Time, which I don't know if, like, flow-wise is the right choice. But I'm happy with how it turned out. So tomorrow I'm going to tackle my TBR shelf, clean that, clean the books, organize this, organize Hedis books and some of my Frankenstein books. And that's the plan. These are all Hedis books, and these are all the books we're getting rid of. I've added even more to the pile. And there's also TBR books that I'm also gonna get rid of, which are essentially behind this chair. It's all a mess right now. See you tomorrow.
Mackenzie, She's so independent and has boundaries.
So it is day 3. Can you believe it? This is my TBR shelf that I'm tackling today. Found a lot of cool like bookmarks and stuff in some of the books I've started, and this is my Toni Morrison book that I was accidentally signed. We didn't know it when we got it, which was exciting. And then I started cleaning everything. It felt so nice, so good. And then I started cleaning other stuff because I got distracted by how dirty the other shelf was. There's something nice about cleaning, listening to good podcasts and fun music. It actually gives you a lot of energy once you get started. And then obviously I had to clean those books. Good stuff, good stuff. I did go over some of these. Oh, I had this. Making me company, reminding me to take a break in the midst of all of this. So many books everywhere. These are the books that I wanted to read this year that I'm stacking on top, and you can see that I've kind of already organized the rest of it. I just sort of put it in wherever because these shelves are so small. And yeah, had this ended up like reorganizing their bookshelf, this section, but I just put them in wherever, and then he went in and fixed it all later, and also had this camera as a little decor. This is what it looks like. Hello friends. So it's a couple of days later and I haven't done anything more in this project, but I thought today I would tidy up everything in here just to make it better, like energetically for me, easier, and for this, and so that I can like finish this project and move on. And so I'm gonna tidy up in here. I'll show you what it looks like. So this chair is still here, which is super inconvenient because as you can see, you can barely like walk into the bedroom when it's like this. And the rest of it is just there's chairs, and then the other chairs are just lined up here momentarily. My goal is to fix this up so it's livable, and to wrap up this project, I'm gonna tidy everything up first so it's easier for me to get going. Then I'm gonna show you what I've done with this bookshelf, with my TBR bookshelf, and then I'm gonna move everything back and show you the final look, and also show you all the books I got rid of, sort of. So let's do that. So the light is real yellow, but this is my TBR shelf. Here, these right here are my Frankenstein books. It's this shelf and the one under it that I just cleaned and organized. And the one above it had this library books. And then this whole shelf is all had this books. And then here we have my sci-fi TBR, sci-fi and fantasy TBR. These are the fake books that had this made, which are amazing. And I like to display them here. These are the 10 books that I want to read this year, of which I've read none so far. And then the rest here is just kind of whatever could fit anywhere, essentially. So I started, oh my god, it's so yellow, this light. Why is it so yellow? Anyways, I started organizing them like after genre a little bit and like themes for vlogs or whatever that I'm planning. But it didn't really like work out like that, and I'm fine with it. It just like is very packed, which means I can't buy any new books until I've read some books. But that's also a problem. Let's talk about that now. So this is just a quick overview. Ta-da! All right, you can almost see everything. I'm going to try to explain my organization here. It's very random and it looks very chaotic, but that's just like kind of how I like it because I feel like it looks natural. It's sort of similar to how I used to have it. Let me go on this side. Here I have young adult fantasy, and then it moves up into my series, fantasy, kind of young adult, then into my adult fantasy, and then here are sci-fi books. And that continues on here. So these two are sci-fi. And then here is my Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy collection. And then here is kind of where I started with my speculative fiction / like weird books. And that continues up here all the way here, which I know confusing because if I just combine these two, I could make this one shelf. But it's just like, you know, I want the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy to be like close to the sci-fi. And so that's why I've done my speculative fiction all the way here. It's not that many books, but it's kind of books that couldn't really fit in anywhere. That didn't make sense for whatever reason. And then from here on, so what I'm about to say next is actually a lie. Where I'm holding my hand and the rest of this shelf is specifically climate fiction, and then it moves into whatever I'm about to say next in the next shelf. Anyways, back to you, Will. This is actually wild because I did not know this. This is my contemporary books, my historical fiction, my literary fiction, like that type of whole genre, which I thought I didn't have so many of. I haven't read that many. But it starts here, and it goes all the way to the top here, all the way top here, and down to this shelf. I know, which is a lot more than I was expecting to. And then I started, new addition to the bookshelf, is my horror shelf here. Horror, and I'm very excited about it. And I decided to give it a separate shelf, even though it's not that many books, just because I want to read more horror and I want to have more space to fill up like horror books. Because previously it was just one of these 40 centimeter Billy shelves. So this is very exciting, and I have some space here to fill it up. This is nonfiction. This one and this one is all nonfiction. It started off kind of being like grouped together out of like theme, but also I kind of ended up just having to fit them in wherever. So these are actually all my climate change nonfiction. And I also added in these books right here, these 5 books that I have not read, because it's the type of thing that I don't really need on my TBR, so to say, because it's not something I'm like, oh, what am I in the mood for? I'm going to read another nonfiction climate change book, you know? So I decided to put those here, even though this is supposed to be my red shelf of like all the books I've read. So this is one exception to my only read books shelf, are these climate fiction books. And there's another one. I'll get to it. And here's kind of like, I started off with having memoirs. But yeah, it kind of runs over into like queer. So this is all queer. But some of these are also queer. So yeah. Anyways, it's a little mix. But these 2 are nonfiction. And then I decided to have all my Wheel of Time and the Name of the Wind books here. Just because this is a very tiny shelf. And these format books are the only books that fit in here. Now, I've only read 7 of the Wheel of Time, but I'm not going to continue with the series like anytime soon. So, same applies here. I decided to put them all together, also because they were the only books that fit on this shelf. So, those are the 2 exceptions. The climate change nonfiction and my Wheel of Time books are books that I haven't all completed, but everything else is. And then I have technically my Brandon Sanderson shelf because, yeah, they just fit there. And that was so weird. Okay. Anyways. And my favorite fantasy series, which I don't know what's called. And then on the bottom here that you see that are being cut off is my classics. And I've taken some liberty with it because I also put Twilight here. Because it's my bookshelf and I think that's fucking hilarious. So, and then on the side, on the 40 centimeter Billy bookshelf, we already went over this. This was originally supposed to be my East Asian literary fiction books, but I realized yesterday when I finished another literary fiction book that there's literally no space here, and I'm just gonna have to continue it, which is fine for me. And then below that, wow, look how much room this shelf has. It's because it's poetry. And I know I recently talked about how I don't really like poetry, but then I read like the Death by Sex Machine poetry collection, and I loved it. So I was like, you know what, maybe I'm entering my poetry era. So that's why this is bare. And then under that is also a new section that I really wanted to do, which was anthologies and short story collections, which is this shelf right here. And then below that, I have my Haruki Murakami shelf. I kind of decided to split it up, but it's also like fairly together. It's just convenient for now because it fits into like a perfect square. Then below that, I have young adult and middle grade, these 2. And all the way at the bottom, I just have some Swedish Norwegian books that I'm just not going to get rid of and don't really fit in anywhere else. You can't see it on camera, but it's just below this one. And in the same way, vein, I have right now below this my self-help and spiritual books. But I think for both of those, I'm going to find like, just like a different random place in the home to keep them because those collections like don't really grow for me. So that is an overview of how I've organized it for now. I don't know if it's going to be functional. It's just by genre. It's not alphabetically like I had it previously, just because I end up just putting books wherever kind of anyways, where they fit. Now it doesn't leave a lot of room, and I've emptied out, basically my goal is to empty out the entire bottom shelf because the bunnies. Yeah, I have a book by E. Lockhart here. That's a signed copy that's just absolutely destroyed because some bunny ate it. And even though it doesn't pain me that much, it's fine. But I would like for it not to continue happening when I could easily just like remove the bottom shelf. And then the top shelf we use for like storing hay and stuff for the bunnies. So that's why it can only be like used in the middle. And that's why also I've gotten rid of so many fucking books that I'm gonna try to sell on the internet. I'm going to put the armchairs back and I'll show you the final look. So, 6 o'clock and I finished. It's by no means clean because we are in a process, and this is not one of those aesthetic bookshelf videos, but I thought you guys would be interested nonetheless. I'm going to show you, here's what it looks like with the chairs. We have exchanged the white table that was here for this little stool because the white table we don't like, and I put all the CDs that were in that here. These are books that I'm getting rid of. La 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 la. Books that I'm getting rid of. Books that I'm getting rid of. This shelf we're also getting rid of, which is why it has a bunch of random stuff that doesn't have a home. But yeah, essentially that is it for this bookish video. The last thing I'm going to show you is, here we have all our games and stuff. This is my currently reading basket. I've used it this way before, but it needed to be revised. Books that I've started that I'm like currently reading. And I also have bookmarks and bookish stuff like the TBR game that I got from Had This, and my hearts that I put on the books that I've read, little stuff like that. So at least it's a little bit more organized and cleaner here. I hope you guys enjoy this video. Comment down below how you organize your books, if at all. Do you have physical books? Chat with me in the comments about all this stuff. I hope you have a brilliant, amazing day, and I will chat with all of you very soon.